Hello, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. Welcome to Craft Time with Joe Marucci. So, we probably have some of these laying around in our store. Not a whole lot of good it's doing us, right? So, what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to turn it into, well, kind of. What we're going to do is we're actually going to take off this Velcro backing. We're going to put it onto the side where it says Tempur-Pedic and go from having a TSI branded foot cover flap to having a non-branded foot cover flap. So let's dig in. Okay, so there's a couple of ways to accomplish this, and I'm going to give you a couple of techniques that I've been using to flip these around in some of my stores. Only using supplies that we have readily available to us, all right? So one of the things that is available in a lot of stores, and probably the cleanest method to do this, is going to be one of these, staple remover. These are actually just some stitches around the outside. If you take the prongs that are right down here, the sharp side, you can actually get under the loops of the stitching that is in there. And if you kind of go every two and pull them out, I'm doing this a little bit further away than I normally would, so I can't exactly see where I'm starting there, but if you would go and try to pull those out, you're going to be able to pull them through without necessarily damaging or ruining anything on the underneath side of that foot cover here. So I'm pulling that out pretty successfully. I did a bunch of it over on this side. What you'll see over here, eventually you end up creating a little bit of a flap. Now every once in a while, some of these, they put a little bit of extra glue around the edge, which will leave behind a slight little bit of residue here. If you actually end up kind of rubbing that, it'll kind of just come up in small pieces and will eventually just kind of wear away. It feels like it was maybe like some sort of like hot glue that they used to secure it before they ended up running the stitching through. So that's one of the, like I said, that's probably the cleanest way. It's going to get all the stitches out of the way and make this the cleanest sort of seamless sort of thing that you got going on. Now, a couple of things to note here as well. On this center flap, the inside of that flap is not stitched, so it gives you a good pull point. All right, you can just kind of, you know, wrestle that up a little bit. So one of the other ways that I've been finding to do this too is to just kind of give it and try not to knock the camera off of the pedestal, but go and give it a quick tug and just kind of pull it straight off. Now here you'll see we actually separated the one seam, but it will come off then. Now the only thing that doesn't really quite work out with this sort of method is you're kind of left with some of the string behind, and then you kind of can go back in with the staple remover, get those started to be pulled out here, and then clean up your foot protector rather quickly. So it's definitely a lot faster than pulling each one out individually, but it's you know, a little more, let's just say a little more physical way to do it is kind of give it those couple of big tugs there and kind of getting it cleaned up. And then you can kind of go in between the two as well. So if you end up pulling these up, what you'll notice is the stitch will start to come out a little bit on most of them, and then you can kind of give it a little snip and then keep pulling until you get to the point where it becomes too hard to pull again. Give it another little snip with your scissors and just kind of keep pulling. Well, now I got to get this side too. So just go till you can't pull it anymore, and then snip the edges there. Keep pulling, and that's going to be slightly cleaner than just ripping and pulling, but not necessarily as clean as pulling out each individual stitch with the staple remover. So I'm going to go and I'm going to get this all pulled off, and then I'll show you what we're going to do on the other side. Right, I'm back here. So cleaned up the rest of the edges on the Velcro strips here. Well, for the most part, looks like I might have missed a couple on this piece right here, but there's two ways to kind of go about that. Just going through and picking off all the excess string. You can certainly utilize your staple remover to go ahead and grab some of that leftover excess threading, like I just did there. Or you can kind of go the quicker method, especially if you were going to maybe just be yanking off the strips. You can certainly cut off the little bit of edge there where the stitching is. You're not going to lose a whole lot of Velcro there. As a matter of fact, I lost about a row doing that on that piece. But you don't even necessarily have to go that route. Nobody's really going to realistically see the underneath of this anyway. But my OCD would know it's there. So anyway, so there's going to be a couple of options that we have when reassembling this. There's two main ones that I'm going to say you're going to be able to do without purchasing any supplies. And that's going to be, we just go into, simply can just assemble this back the way that was on the other side, where we just go and put this. Now these all have sticky backing on them, so they will hold on to this and they're not going to slip anywhere, really go anywhere. The only time that you would be in danger of maybe, you know, having these come off of this is going to be when you go and pull up on the flap on the bed. It could leave behind this Velcro to the existing other end of the Velcro on there. But we can just go back, assemble using the sticky material that is already there, and voila. This is certainly the easiest way to assemble this. And now on the other side, you will notice, boom, blank green tag, no branding on it whatsoever. Now, the other thing that you could do if you wanted to secure it slightly better, you can actually take these end pieces and secure them exactly at the edge. And then take our handy dandy swing line stapler and put a couple of staples right in the edge. But this is definitely an unnecessary step. We don't have to do this, and it just makes it slightly more secure than it was without doing that. And it'll certainly have enough Velcro in here to grab the sides on our existing protector. And we just are left with a couple of metal tines coming up through the fabric there that you probably wouldn't even be able to see on this video, maybe. But I still think you're probably just better off just going and putting it where it belongs, and maybe not fully necessarily securing the Velcro. Now, you might be saying, well, why couldn't you just go and do that a little bit further in? The reality of the matter is there is a hard plastic backing on both sides of these flaps. So there's no way to necessarily staple through in the middle without removing that plastic backing. If you're going to be removing that plastic backing, there's plenty of things that you can do, but certainly not necessary for what we are after here in this sort of situation. We're just after a nice functional tag until we either get the correct tag or till we change out whatever foot protector it is to whatever, you know, sort of situation we're going to be at in the future here. I mean, for example, right now we're switching to Sleepy's beds. We might be switching to a different brand, such as from Hampton Roads, or maybe we're adding Hampton Roads products. This doesn't give you all that much of a permanent sort of situation, although I don't think we're going back to Tempur-Pedic. But if you had to flip a couple of the brands that we still have, we could always flip them back. A couple of solutions if you wanted to make it slightly more permanent. Fabric glue would be a great way to secure this. I would actually honestly just secure it at the edges, and then so it's still removable somewhat at one point. Also, hot glue gun. Again, I would look to just the corners and the edges, and then leave the initial backing doing the rest of the work there. But that would solidify it a little bit more. But right now, perfectly functional green tag. Go right on the bed. Why don't we go over there and do that real quick, and we'll be right back. So here we are here. Here's your unbranded green foot protector right there on this lovely cushion firm 500 Serta. It's going to function doing exactly what you need here. It is still removable. You move it and shift it a little bit, obviously, as needed there, but it's still going to have plenty of friction that's going to stop it from coming off while a guest is trying it, or you flipping the tag back and forth here. It'll function to be exactly what you need it to be. So that's how you turn a TSI branded foot protector flap into an unbranded one. Take care, folks.